my channel. This is Tita Lavinia of Titas of Pageantry, and for this episode, I am finally going to be giving you guys the gown review for Miss Universe Philippines 2025. So please make sure you stick around, please subscribe to the channel, as well as hit that bell notification button for your weekly pageant fix. Hey guys, yes, I am here. I am back doing a review for you. I hope that you're doing well, but more than anything else, I am really ready to move on and close this chapter of Miss Universe Philippines. So I know it's been a little over 2 weeks since the beautiful Atisa Manalo was crowned as Miss Universe Philippines 2025. And so I gathered information for you. It took a while for me to complete this because I was actually waiting for two girls who did not bother putting out information about the make of their gown, or did not even bother publishing paandar photos or paandar videos to aid me in my research. So I had to do more digging for you. I had to do more research for you, but that's fine. I have everything that I need. So one of the reasons why I'm putting out this episode for you is not just to nitpick on the gowns really, but to also show appreciation and put it out there that the design teams behind these looks, they deserve a shout out. I know that we may have differences in opinions, and I know that as someone who is very public with my analysis on pageantry, especially with my analysis on gowns, I know that sometimes it's not like the most positive, but I would still want to give these creatives a shout out because I know that these gowns were not just magically whipped up. I know that there were hours and hours put into the design, put into making the gowns work, and showing us what these teams are capable of. So just for this, again, full appreciation for the work and the effort, as well as the hours put into all of these looks for the ladies at Miss Universe Philippines. So 12 girls were allowed to advance, and if I'm not mistaken, they did mention that the scores went back to zero. So everything was reliant on the design of the gown and the way they presented the gown, as well as, I would say, audience impact. So without further ado, let's start with the first lady who came out, who opened the show, and who really set the bar high, because she is none other than the lovely Chelsea Fernandez of Sultan Kudarat. Now, Chelsea wore a Leo Almodal gown, and this is, of course, no surprise, as she is one of the muses of the bling king himself, Leo Almodal. Now, going back to the finals gown, it is fully embellished. It's fully crystallized. It's like the ethereal version, or the ethereal sister to the sexier preliminaries gown that we saw, which was in aqua blue. Now, this one has a fully crystallized gown with a cutout just above the belly. It had cap sleeves, and it had, bigger gemstones that are attached to the sleeves, as well as that cutout. So it caught the light, it really danced with the light, and it bounced off light. And if you're watching from the audience side, she really glittered. And the aqua fabric, which was a nod to her preliminaries, it was incorporated at the bodice. It drops out, it fans out at the back like a flowy train, and she moved like a superhero. Like if you see the transformation, when a superhero transforms and there's like mist and air and everything magical surrounding that superhero, well, that was the effect that the train created. So they were really smart in adding a train but making it more flowy. What made this look even more successful was her hair and her makeup, as well as her overall styling. More so that even Mega Magazine picked up on it, and that red lipstick of her, it has risen to iconic levels, and they're no longer gatekeeping this. If you guys are interested, she wore NARS Power Matte Lip Pigment in Star Woman. Next, we have Miss Universe Philippines Quirino. She is Bianca Elan. And just like the prelims, she picked Vince Asuncion as her gown designer. Now, she wore a stunning goddess-like gown in white and gold. And I thought that this was really striking because of her skin tone, and because that white gown was a good choice against that glittery LED backdrop. I thought that she wasn't lost. I thought that she was really visible in it. And so going back to the gown, it's a one-shouldered neckline gown. It highlights her collarbones. It has golden embellishments that cascades down diagonally and vertically across the gown, creating like this textured effect and enhancing her curves. What I like about this is that it has a dramatic slit on one side, so it adds sensuality. It adds more like opportunities for movements as well. And there's also like that structured gold accent at the side of the hip, and that adds to like her cinched waist look, adding like a more architectural flair to this actual gown because it's so simple. However, I will say that this gown was flattering. I totally understand where they got this inspiration from because I'm someone who spends a lot of time on Pinterest. I'm someone who really scours a lot of these like fashion pages because it's part of the job. So I do know that they took the inspiration from a Maison Yea creation, which was a bridal creation in all white. So I think that they just changed the orientation of the slit as well as some of the folds, some of the drape work, but it's pretty much same. They just changed some of the color, and I thought it was smart. Miss Universe Philippines Pasay, the statuesque Amanda Russo, wore one of the two Rayan Fernandez creations that entered the semifinals. And this gown, let me tell you, is just so Cannes worthy. Right now, Cannes is happening, and you have beauty queens left and right gracing the red carpet. If Amanda had been put in that situation on the red carpet in Cannes, I think it would have worked as well. So going back to the gown, it features a form-fitting mermaid silhouette with a deep sweetheart neckline, and it has a structured bodice. It's adorned with geometric patterns like lattice work for the beadwork, and it also has like paneling for the illusion mesh that gives an illusion of skin and enhances the contours. So it really gives her that shape. The contours of the panels really help in defining her shape. Now, what I liked about this is that it has a slimming effect. It also has like an effect that makes the wearer taller because of the visible lines. I like its simplicity because I think that the gown itself is just a perfect canvas to add more accessories. In fact, when she put on the pearl necklace from Jewelmer, it was just so cohesive. I just wish that, they could have changed a little bit of her hair and makeup and probably made it more dramatic. I really would not mind this overall gown look if she put her hair up in a bun and, make it a little even more oversized, just like what Pia wore at Miss Universe in 2015, or that Chanel look from a fashion show some years back with Miss Universe Philippines Baguio Gwen Seraniano. She was one of the two who wore a Rian Fernandez gown, but I also felt that there was more love in creating this gown because this gown seemed to have more details. Now, the gown was inspired by the everlasting flower. That's why if you look at it, it had like a combination of amber and golden hues and a lot of fiery orange. Now, they say that this evokes like the vibrant tones of the flower, the vibrance of Baguio as well, and its enduring qualities. And I totally see it. Like when I see the details on her shoulders, it really does remind me of the everlasting flowers, which we used to buy in garlands. I think a lot of us have a lot of hugot whenever we see the everlasting flower. Going back to the gown, this is a form-fitting mermaid silhouette. It flares at the bottom gracefully. This is an off-shouldered neckline gown that's adorned with sculptural petal-like crystals. And, some of these crystals seem really dangerous because they're so big and pointy, but I absolutely love these faceted crystals. I do know that it's referencing the petals from the everlasting flower. I felt that this really was a touching tribute. It's just that, even if this was one of my favorite gowns in terms of design, in terms of construction, in terms of that beautiful, beautiful burnt orange color, because of course, I'm just saying that unfortunately, this isn't Gwen's color. I think like most of us, we would agree that Gwen works well in cooler tones, colors such as blues and silvers. That was why her look at the preliminaries, I feel, was more successful than her finals look. Now, let's go to the most fashion forward look of the evening, and that belonged to Miss Universe Philippines Taguig, the beautiful representative who will represent us as supranational. She is Katrina Legado. Now, again, like what I said, she had the most striking look because if you were at the audience and you were like looking at, who's going to come out next, and she was out there and she posed and she just gave us a full showcase of this beautifully shaped gown, and it was just so structured and it was so striking. Let's look at how it was actually completed. So the gown itself is a metallic mermaid gold gown, and it's a silhouette that really hugs the body. It hugs her in the right places. So it features a deep V neckline with a bodice that's adorned with vertical golden reflective strips arranged in a structured, almost in an armor-like pattern. As the gown flares into a voluminous hem, the materials become semi-sheer. So again, I appreciated this because if they covered the whole gown in that reflective material, it would have looked a lot heavier. So even if it had like this armor feel, it didn't really look as heavy as it should. So at least that was like the nice part of it. They say that this gown is a nod to the golden hour or the golden phoenix. Ang daming pinaghuhugutan. But whatever it is, it was really striking. I also like the idea that the reflective strips seemed like the rays of the sun. So there was a lot of symbolism in this gown. It really worked for me, but more than anything else, she was styled beautifully. I mean, that face was snatched. And, she put on the hairstyle that I really wanted her to sport anyway. So I really thought that this was such a successful look. The sixth lady who came out was the beauty from Laguna. She is, of course, the heartbreaking Eloywood, who wore a Job's Estrella gown. Now, she was one of the ladies who didn't put out any information out there. So let's stir the pot a little bit. I don't know what's going on. I hope they're okay. I hope that no drama is brewing because I couldn't find any information on crediting the designers or crediting the design team or the styling team. She just faded away right after Miss Universe Philippines. But yes, going back, I think that the white gown was supposed to be the elevated version of her gown from Miss Universe Philippines Laguna, the provincial competition. So this gown features a fitted silhouette with a plunging sweetheart neckline. It's accentuated with intricate silver embellishments, tracing the edge of the bodice. So it has like a bit of cutout here and there. There's a flowing chiffon cape that extends at the back. It drapes gracefully. The white was striking on her. It was what we expected that she consider. But if you just also compare this gown to the other gowns, I felt that this seemed so last minute. I also felt that, there isn't a lot of celebration around this gown because, yeah, the designer, even the candidate, as well as the candidate's official page, there was really no mention of this gown at all. So I hope everything is fine with them because I really couldn't find any other, any other details. But if you dig a little further, there's this designer from Israel. It's a design house called Drawer Constantino. No, Drawer Contento. I stand corrected. If you check out, all of the posts, you will see a version of the gown that she wore for Miss Universe Philippines Laguna. And then you will also see like another version of a gown, which I suspect they made like, minor tweaks, but it was most probably based on this other gown as well. So I don't know. You decide, guys, because when I was watching it live, I thought she looked absolutely pretty, very goddess-like, but I do know that you guys had some issues because she registered a little heavy with her hair and makeup. But with the gown itself, I thought it was really pretty. It just paled in comparison to the other gowns at the finals. Next is Miss Universe Philippines Muntinlupa. Winwin Marquez, who we all had high hopes for. Winwin wore a raw Uson Ablaza creation, which was also expected. And I'm not gonna lie with you guys. As much as I love a French gown, as much as I love a pink gown, I really wasn't too sold on this because I just felt that this wasn't the right fit for her. I thought that it was a beautiful gown. It was a beautifully made gown. I would pick this gown any day. It's just that it's probably not for her. But let's do a little more, I don't know, defense on this. So what Win-Win wore was a magenta version for me of Maxine Medina's preliminaries gown in Emerald Fringe. Now, this had a beautiful proportion. I really like this because I feel like this is on trend. It's a drop-waisted silhouette, very 1920s, which I feel is making a return. However, I will also put it out there that I did have a different vision for Win-Win only because this dress, however beautifully made it is, it seemed so dance sporty. I mean, hindi na tayo nakausad doon. Like, we're still in a dance sport era with Win-Win. Unfortunately, I thought about an Earth Mother type of look for her, which, yeah, they didn't really execute. I would prefer really her Pocahontas look during the opening, just so it could mirror the tassel of her dresses, because I just feel like the color clashed and just the overall styling just didn't look fresh, didn't look new to me. So I do know that based on what they were putting out there, this is a gown and this is a color that has a lot of meaning for Win-Win. And I totally take this into consideration. It's just that sometimes whenever we have like preferences, like my favorite color is chartreuse. I don't think I will look good in chartreuse. So what I'm just saying is that I understand that, that deep magenta pink had a lot of meaning for Win-Win. It was just not the right color for her, just like the case of Gwen Soriano for Baguio. Now, if I were to give another alternative, I would like to show you another version. This is from Nicolas Gebran. This is very, very similar to the Rao gown. It's just that there's a difference in the length of fringe. But if I were to be given an opportunity to redo this look, I would have veered Win-Win away from the fringe and the dance sport and the pinks and, the striking colors. I would have wanted her to go a little rosy, a little flowy, a little earthy, like this gown from Zohair Murad. Next, I'd like to put it out there that the next girl just blew me away with how beautiful and how commanding she was, that I feel she should totally give it another consideration next year or the next few years to come and just really polish and hone her skills because she's that beautiful girl. And I am talking about Miss Universe Philippines Bohol, Tyra Goldman. Now, again, Tyra was one of the girls who did not put out any information out there about the make and the look of their gown. So, yeah, I found like an appreciation post from her designer, Carla Fuentes. Hello, Carla. But that's it. There were no other paandares. And I do know that, this is a team who would put out like editorial photos out there every once in a while. So I really had high expectations. I waited for Tyra up until yesterday and there was none. I tried to check their socials. There were no photos showcasing the actual gown that she wore, which I think was such a shame. However, she wore a champagne colored gown with a sweetheart neckline that's outlined with silvery crystal details. It highlighted her curves, and let me just say that she lost a lot of weight by the finals. So by the finals, she looked really striking. She was one of the tallest girls at 5'9", and it really showed. It really showcased her height in that, form-fitting gown. And so the crystal details highlighted the curves under the bust, and there was like a panty line illusion as well. So it kind of gave Tyra that illusion of a toned body. The gown itself reminded me of Ariadna Gutierrez's gown. It's a little fitted, it's a little too safe for me, but it worked. And it also seemed like a more subdued version of Miss Universe Philippines Manila, Jasmine Baguio's preliminary gown by Daniel Manila. And it also seemed like it also drew inspiration from the Schiaparelli gown that was worn by Emily Blunt at the Oscars, if I'm not mistaken. Next, we have Miss Universe Philippines Cebu, one of the surprises, the happy surprises of the evening. Miss Eco International was the title that she won. I am, of course, talking about Gabby Carbalo. And she wore a Ferne Amato creation, which was a proper pageant gown, let me tell you. So she had like that overall pageant look going on. I thought that her look was the most successful if you're going to factor in things that are successful for us or things that are appealing for us in pageantry. So hers was a dazzling masterpiece, perfectly balancing elegance and boldness, because really there wasn't anything screaming about her gown. We just know that elements of her gown worked. This gown is a form-fitting silhouette. It has intricate beadworks as well. It has shimmering embellishments. It catches the light beautifully on stage. It's not as aggressive as the Leo Almodal, bling bling, but it still catches the light and it's more subtle. It's really nice and it's really elegant as well. I think it would be perfect not just for the pageantry stage, but for the red carpet as well. Now, the sweetheart neckline adds a touch of softness, and this is what we've been rallying for Gabby. And the slit and the feathering detail, I think that this added more drama to what she presented. I really have no notes on this. Nothing was watered down. I think that she had the best momentum out of all of the girls. I would have really wanted like her hair down a little bit, but you know what? That's just me nitpicking. I don't have notes. I like this. The 10th girl who came out was Miss Universe Philippines Iligan. Now I'm looking at Natalie Portman at Cannes, and I just couldn't help but think that, they could have really gone this route. Miss Iligan wore a Gian Lasala creation, and this is a full-length, high-neck, fully embellished gown with silver and gold crystals. It's highly glittering. It's highly reflective as well. It catches the light beautifully. It competes with the light even. They say that this is inspired by one of the places in Iligan. So not to undermine the efforts on the folks who created this gown, because I've also been checking the videos and I do know that there are a number of young artisans who worked on the gown. I just thought that there was a lot of love put into this, a lot of effort, a lot of time, but sadly, if I'm going to be very honest with you, there's a lot of work technically on the embroidery of the piece, but there aren't a lot of like design aspects to it. It's like a fabric just cut straight and made to fit. There aren't really a lot of bells and whistles in creating or designing the actual base of the gown. So I felt also that, because the gown had really big crystals, she was like wearing wearable real estate. It was so heavy on her. And, as much as they put a lot of love and effort into this gown, I also felt that the designer or maybe the design team, they designed for themselves. They didn't really put Juliana, Juliana's personality, her body type, her height, into consideration. They just seemed like they wanted to create a gown, and it seemed like there was a ready model. Let's just send her out. This was the vibe that I got, because her gown from the preliminaries and the finals, they were very similar, and we've been echoing the same thing since day one in terms of over designing, in terms of not having the garments fit her and her proportions. My next girl is Sinuloan Ileana Aduana, also in Leo Almodal. Now, a little birdie told me that she really pushed for Leo Almodal, although she was one of the muses of Mr. Almodal as well, because, again, that little birdie told me there seemed to be an agreement that she was the only one who was going to wear an Almodal. And lo and behold, she had to appear first before Chelsea came out, who was also in Leo Almodel. So I don't know, they kind of canceled each other. However, I will note that her gown was one of the most dramatic. It also happens to be one of my favorites, except for the cape. I'm not really a fan of the cape. Now, this gown is a dazzling, snowy white gown. It's intricately beaded. It has a sheer body hugging silhouette. It's adorned with thousands of glimmering crystals. I mean, just talking about the make of the gown makes me imagine a lot of these dark fantasy movies from the 1980s, whenever they would have the witchy character or like the fairy queen character. These are exactly the types of dresses like in the Never Ending Story. I don't know if you guys are familiar. Like, these are exactly the types of dresses that I have in mind. And so her gown, you know, also showcased a cutout just like Chelsea's. It had two cutouts actually. One at the decolletage area and then the other one at the midsection area. But it's okay because she's tall enough. Uh, I like this look, but I will be agreeing with most of you that because she already has such alabaster skin, if you put her in white, it kind of washes her out. I just think that, Jana is one of these girls who I thought had a beautiful gown, but maybe had like a misstep in terms of selecting the color, because this wasn't really a color that allowed her to pop. No one wore red at the finals, and I could not help but wish that she could have gone like really, really deep red, because Mr. Almodal also makes beautiful deep red gowns. So I really hope that she, went for color, because it dulled her light, it dulled her glow. But to our biggest winner of the evening, I don't know why people are still debating, because if you watch it there, if you watch her full performance, whether you're rallying for the very idea that her slip was a gimmick, of course it is not. I'm saying that was her night, that was her choice, and it worked for her. Let's talk about this. The biggest winner was, of course, Miss Universe Philippines Atisa Manalo, coming from Quezon Province, in this pink Barbie creation by Val Taguba. Now, the pink gown with subtle iridescent linear embellishments features a detachable train. If it were up to me, I would have left the train altogether. Now, the train itself had a structured ruffle detail to add more volume, to add more of that queenly command, and I think that it did its purpose. It's not the most fashion-forward design for me, but it did what it had to do, right? It brought victory to Atisa. I will say though that Atisa's Waterloo is her gown. Her gowns are always so polarizing. I don't know why. I like this gown on her because it was so striking. Just right before the finals, she teased us with a red, a blue, and a yellow gown. So we all thought she would go white. So when she came out in pink, I think there was a tinge of disappointment, but it was quickly recovered with relief, because it's pink and it seems to be her color. It seems to be something that's associated with her manika persona. So yeah, we're pretty fine with it. But is this my favorite gown? No, it isn't, only because this does not look fresh for me. I've seen, of course, a similar gown from Mr. Val Taguba, and these were the ones worn by Chantal Schmidt as well as Annabelle McDonald. So if I am to think of an Atisa Manalo, I would have really wanted something more elevated, or if you would have given me a chance, I would have steered her and, kept the color, maybe toned down the color a bit, because I think this pink is a little way too striking for her. But I would have really steered her towards the designs of Mark Baumgartner, so that we would lessen the bling and it would add like more of that regal look going on. Because I feel that when you put Atisa in something that's so highly embellished, it's just really lost in translation. So there you have it, folks. I don't know how I'm going to edit this, because I know this is going to be such a long content. I'm just saying that the evening was super jam-packed with really beautiful things. Even the host, most especially Gabby, who hosted the evening, she also wore beautiful garments that were well thought out, that I wish the pageant girls would look up to the five looks that she presented, because they had very distinct stories as well. And they're very Filipino in their inspiration, but the make and feel was just so modern that I wish that the gown looks would continue in this direction. It's okay to take inspiration from other designers, because I mean they're out there anyway, but challenge yourselves to put your own spin. And these are the things that, again, I appreciated and that I liked. And I'm hoping that for Binibining Pilipinas, which will happen in a few weeks, that we'll see a similar attack. Now, for now, this is already super long. I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you this Sunday. Bye, guys.